Greetings, Carl.
Hello. Hello, Michael. I'm glad to see that you have a blue shirt on top of a blue shirt.
Well, you sometimes you got to do blue in layers to make sure you're living the full blueness.
Yes, I feel a little, I don't know, self-conscious the fact that I have on a blue shirt too. It's not the same color though, just to be clear.
We can work on this though. Like we are expanding like the Kitces blue shirt swag options these days. So we might be able to get you like I don't know if a collar, but like nice Kitces blue polo. We can send you a Kitces blue t-shirt. Like
Part of the mafia.
we
Yeah,
can
for
we can
sure.
we can solve for this. We can solve for this.
I'll do that if you'll wear a dragon hat.
Society of Advice dragon hat. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And just for those of you not watching on YouTube, I just put the dragon hat on because it was sitting next to me. So we'll see what we can do. If you'll get a dragon tattoo, I'll wear a Kitces blue shirt.
All right, I don't feel like those are even stakes. If I'm going to tattoo, you have to actually like tattoo a blue shirt somewhere on your body, or your whole body as a blue shirt.
Perfect.
It's like an odd. So rock with me. That's like an oddly apropos theme for today, though, because I actually wanted to talk about today is this kind of like building the community that we build in the people that you serve, like your clientele, your audience, your niche, whatever it is. Like most of the advisor firms I see that get just the strongest organic growth, like they stand for something for someone. They've taken a position on something that's meaningful to the segment of clients that they serve. And it becomes like a beacon to them that draws them in. Like I like that advisor that works with young people and has taken a stand that like you don't have to work until 65 until you drop dead. Like live a better work-life balance. You can do it while you're working, and I'll teach you how. Or the advisor that focuses in on like how to live a meaningful life as a tech employee after you make your dollars and you try to figure out what comes next. So just people that stand up and stand for something often have a really big power and impact. And to me, like one way that this shows up in just the marketing world are folks who go so far as to write like the manifesto of their worldview and their way of seeing things. And I'll be like, I got caught up in this a year or two ago. We'd put a thing on our site that I called like the Financial Advisor Manifesto. It was basically like, okay, I'm gonna stand up on my soapbox for a moment and sound off on my gripes with the industry and how financial advisor has lost meaning as a title because it's used by people who give advice, and it's also used by people who sell products. And like, look, I don't actually have a problem with folks that sell products. Like sometimes consumers just want to buy a thing and they need a person to sell it to them. Like that's totally fine. But I do have a problem when people are operating as salespeople, but they're holding out to the consumer marketplace as advisors, and someone comes in, they think they're getting advice when in reality they just came into a buying, selling experience. And so I kind of advocate for the separation of sales from advice, and that basically because financial advisor is just so lost as an interspersed term that we need a new word. And so the new word I made up was advisor, like you give advice with an R at the end. So I give advice, which means I'm an advisor who does this. We just got wrote like, here's the evolution of the industry. Here's why I think this matters. Here's why I think we should separate products from advice and advisors from advisors. And we put our like the 7 points of what it means to be an advisor. Like you're actually focused on advice and you're product agnostic and you're objective and fiduciary and all those great things. We just got to put it out there. It's just like, I feel like I keep talking about this. I need to just say it the way I want to say it and like put my mark out there in the world. And so I did. Like if anyone's curious, you can go see it on the site, kitces.com/advisor. And you can read it. So we put that out there. It was fun to put out and interesting to see. We've gotten some good feedback on it. A couple of advisors now who even started saying like they're financial advisors, and they put the image of the manifesto on their website that they were like, I'm an advisor and here's what I stand for. And so it's been really cool to see that getting out in the marketplace. Like for me, it's like it's a page we put on our website because I found myself having this conversation over and over again of here's the thing I believe in that I think is important for the community that we serve. And just, I had the conversation so many times, like, I'm just going to write it down once, and then I can just send people a manifesto or give them the manifesto, so I don't have to keep explaining it over and over again. Now, I know you've done a version of this.
Right.
Way more than I have. Like, you've done a version of this. I know you did a manifesto thing recently as well, but yours is at a whole other level. Like, it's printed, it's bound, like it's a nice high quality bound thing. You like leaf through the pages. I'm like, dude, like I got Carl's manifesto in my hands. And it's not short. I mean, like, it's a little booklet. It's like 16, 20 pages. Yeah. So like my interest for today's session is to understand like where this, like, I know why I did my little manifesto thing. Like, just, I keep saying this to the advisor community, so I just want to write it one place and let it be out there. I feel like you're doing it a whole other level when you've literally like printed it and made it a book and you send people the book. So like, what's the deal with like making an actual printed bound manifesto? Because, you know, candidly, like the only other context I've got for people that make printed bound manifestos usually involves people of a certain very creative persuasion that do sometimes not ideal things in the world. And I think you have a very positive slant on it. So like, what's the deal with the printed manifesto?
Yeah, super fun. And it is fun to see. I think you've hit on it, right? Like putting a stake in the ground and saying, like, having an opinion. Seth Godin talks about it as putting yourself on the hook. You know, I think in our industry, speaking broadly, when I use the term industry, we are trained to avoid having opinions. And we caveat so many things. And I don't like caveating things. And so I was like, look, and I've done this before, but this is the, you know, the fellowship, that program we built, it's still, people are joining all the time. The fellowships was the original version of this. It was the 21 declarations of a real financial advisor is what the fellowship was. We just never did a printed version of it. It's an online experience with video and audio and all that stuff. And it's so fun to see like people using Advisor on their website. Yeah, it's fun for me to show up at a conference and see people wearing the fellowship shirt, and it's like a secret handshake. You know what I mean? Like nobody really knows there's a dragon. You know? Yeah. So I love that idea, and largely to me, it's about like how can I get an idea to spread in our industry, and just hope, right? Like hope that it has an impact on behalf of the people I'm pointing out the window right now, like the people out there, the people that need our help. You know, it's not really getting much better out there, like the land of financial, like if I want financial advice, and I'm not talking about our industry, I'm just talking broadly, like blogs and websites that like, people don't feel better about their relationship with money right now than they did 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago when you and I started. It hasn't changed much. So I'm always thinking like, how can we change? And one of the ways I've seen that in capital, you know, like one of the ways I've seen that captured, encapsulated is in something called a manifesto. When you've got an idea, you know, sometimes you wrap it up. Now, my inspiration for this was my friend Blair Enns at Win Without Pitching. And Blair's book is called the Win Without Pitching Manifesto, which, by the way, everybody who listens to this would love. He happens to be talking to creative firms, but he's really talking about how to price valuable advice. Okay.
Win Without Pitching.
Win Without Pitching, Blair Enns. And it's one of my favorite, he's one of my favorite people. He's been on the membership call a couple times, but his book's just so beautiful. So that was my goal, was how short could I make it? And like for the YouTube folks, I'm holding one up here, like how short and beautiful could I make it? It's 32 pages. And I kind of wanted it something
I just got a point, like how short can I make it? And the conclusion was 32 pages. I feel like is not the shortest in the
but it's each section is really tight, you know, like it's designed with lots of white space. So 32 pages, I can't remember how many words it was, but I was going to write a book. So as a book, this is short, right? Right. As a book, 32 pages is short. And I wanted it, we did this matte finish, soft cover. I wanted it like you could roll it up and stick it in your suit coat pocket, like a, so I've always loved those things. In fact, Michael, as I did research for this, I actually I went and did, and I'm not suggesting anybody do this. Like if you go Google Manifesto, you end up in some, as you've already pointed out, like some problematic places. I bought different versions of Manifesto on Amazon, different books. One of them, I won't mention what it was, but one of them I bought. It's called the X, and it was a particular political affiliation, the X Manifesto. Well, I'll just tell you so that nobody thinks it's worse. But the Communist Manifesto is one of the like classic. And I bought a copy just to see the print of it, like just to see what it was like. It's terrible because the things that now show up in my Amazon search are, I mean, I've long since donated the book somewhere or tore it up or something, but I just wanted to see like how
Amazon thinks it knows you.
I know. How did they package that idea? Like it's just what I was fascinated by. I mean, I looked at it for like a week and then threw it away or donated it or whatever.
Side note, this is why I'm not concerned about AI taking over our business anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm like, no, stop with it. It's like the phone calls I get for funding for my business that I get like 3 a day for that I've never needed. So anyway, Manifesto, but this one was like the fellowship was 21 declarations of a real financial advisor. That was about, and your advisor is about what it means to be somebody who actually delivers advice. Like this is a manifesto in service of an idea. And the idea is like, what does real financial planning look like? And I wanted to just put my stake in the ground and say, here's what I think. Now, I get it. I'm probably wrong. There's other ways to do it. It's all fine. But I'm going to put my stake in the ground as hard as I can with no caveats. This is what real financial advice looks like. And what else are you going to call that? Well, you call it a manifesto.
But like, what? Why? Like, why have you done this? Again, maybe this is my own fixation. Like, again, I wrote a page on my website. It costs me no money. I take a little time to put it up. And I mean, it's a page on my website. Like, it's a couple hundred words. It's not a 32-page booklet. Yeah. Like, you wrote a lot more. It's longer. It's physically printed for like whatever the costs are to like do that and distribute that. Just tell me, is it like why have you gone to this? I was gonna say extreme. I don't mean that in a negative way. Be like, sure. Why are you taking it this far? Like, what business results are you hoping to get from taking it this far?
Yeah, I don't. That's a totally reasonable question, and it's smart, and it's why you're where you are and where I am. But I don't really. All I cared about was what impact could I have?
Okay.
Like, how could I get this idea to spread? And how could I help? Like, is there a shot? Like, it's really interesting to wake up in your life and you know this feeling and think, I have a teeny little tiny influence on a industry / profession. That's amazing. Like, how could I help more? What impact could I have? And so, yeah, I mean, you've got a copy, you've seen, like, it's beautiful. And again, the YouTubers are seeing it. Like, the people who design, like, we didn't spare any expense on this. So you're right. But I was thinking more along the lines of like, how can I get this idea to spread about what real financial advice? Now, look, in reality, we get people read the fellowship, or sorry, read the manifesto, and they join my membership program at the Society of Advice. I've gotten speaking engagements from it. So like, I know that's gonna happen. I don't think that way. I think, and this applies to some of the earlier conversations we've had about how do you find strategic direction, right? I just am like, I want to do this thing. It needs to be in the world. I'm so addicted to that process of like, I've got a thing, it's got to be in the world. And then I have all these fancy feelings about how it shows up.
Yeah.
And one of those fancy feelings is it's got to show up in a form factor that I'm proud of. And so, yeah, this is a book that you cannot buy. That's the other thing. Like, we don't sell this book anywhere. You can't buy this book anywhere. I've never sold a copy.
So can people get it if they want to get it?
Yeah. So that's like, we can talk a little bit about how, you and I have arranged a giveaway of some of them, but the way we've given these away as giveaways. I've taken some to events and handed them out at events. I think we had some at XYPN. I can't remember if we had.
Yeah, you gave some out at XYPN Live, but like for
yeah. So
art,
yeah, in fact, I had a whole In fact, I
Yeah.
brought. That's right. I brought 2 or 3 boxes to XYPN Live. So we give them out. Yeah, and of course we can. And I don't. Whenever the right time is, I want to continue this conversation briefly about tactics versus mindset. I do want to talk about that inside a manifesto. Because I think what you've done is point at a way of being, a belief system that sits above tactics. And I'm a huge fan of that, because I think, like, if I can get you to believe you're an advisor, right? If I can get you to believe the 21 declarations of a real financial advisor, tactics are easy if I'm confident. I can figure out what to do tactically. I can go to the Kitces conference and see somebody break down specifically. I can one Google search away, one FP Pathfinder search away, and I've got a flow chart. Like, the tactics are easy. What we really need more of is this: who am I? How do I identify, and what do I believe, so I can feel confident? And that's the piece that I love about this manifesto work that we've both done.
Well, so translate this to me just for advisors. Like, just this, does this work for advisors and what advisors do, or is this like
Totally
things that Carl does because Carl's Carl?
I completely think it works. And now, again, we're going to get into this trouble that we always get in, because we never stop talking about how valuable it is to have a specialization or a niche. But
I just, for the record, we put this out for a poll to the audience on LinkedIn. Like, literally, I think like 2,000 advisors participated in the poll, and niche won.
Uneducated savages
won. We don't have to ask about the percentage that it won by, but niche won.
Uneducated, yeah, it's fine. I know. I just have too much New Zealand and London in me, and they made a strong argument. Would you rather buy quiche, niche, witch, or niche quiche? And I was like, yeah, but I understand
riches and niche.
I know. I knew you were going to say. So anyway, let's not get into this discussion right now. So yeah, I believe, especially if I've got a specialization or I've got a thing that I believe, that if I can write it in the form of, like, here's a set of declarations, like, here's what it means to work with me. Here's what real financial advice is written to the client. Here's the 7 things it means to be an architect that owns your own firm, right? Here's, like, and their philosophy, their mindset, they're not super tactical. I believe that, man, that, like, you print one of these babies up, and for whatever it costs you, if you print a couple thousand, $3 or $4, whatever, hand it out like candy, will you get business from it? For sure. What does Angie Herbert say? 7 times on a book?
Well, and so, like, is that what it costs you at the end of the day? Like, it's like $3 or $4 to print,
depending on how many.
I could spend like $3 or $4 on, like, really nice business cards sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's not a big scary number to me, given what some of us spend on business cards anyway.
Well, I can't.
Different if it's 10 or $20 a piece, because
I think we were more than that, the 3 or 4 on this, because of the form factor. But you don't have to make it this beautiful. But let's say it's $5. Yeah. Yeah. So that to me, does this work for? I would almost pressure, if I was, like, and I don't do this, but if I was consulting a financial advisor, I'd almost pressure them to write this first. Like, no, tell me what you stand for. Like, what are your beliefs? So, what do you mean?
So then there's a part of me that just immediately goes to, like, okay, but compliance, like, there are no absolutes, Carl. Everything varies by the client's individual facts and circumstances, right? I mean, as you said at the beginning, like, you don't have to caveat things, like, stand up for your thing. I'm like, well, okay, but, like, don't we have to caveat things? Like, compliance exists, our industry exists. We do personalized individual financial planning for each client's needs and circumstances, Carl. Like, There are no absolutes. It's all specific to the clients. Like,
No,
reconcile this for
I
me.
don't, but like, I know you're playing slight devil's advocate here, but there's also a bit of truth to it. I think particularly I don't know what the rules are around books, but I've certainly watched plenty of financial advisors do things in books that you could not do in marketing material.
Mm-hmm.
And if I thought of this as a book, like stories about their work, and even to the point it's not quite case studies, but like stories about work with clients. You've seen Larry Sweater has been doing that for years. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the rules are. I wouldn't pretend to know what the rules are, but I think if you were to read this, I don't think you would see anything in. I think there are plenty of ways to happily happily coexist with a great compliance person and write a manifesto. Let's put it that way, and make it
Because I
strong.
guess it gets to the stuff that you were saying earlier. This is like, I specialize in architects, and my manifesto is about, yes, you can have work-life balance as an architect who's a partner in a firm, but still trying to enjoy their life and raising their kids, because you're trying to work with 40-something architects making partner in a firm. And like, these are not the things compliance worries about.
That's been my experience. Like, my experience with all my speaking engagements, everybody, like, I'm like sitting above the things I'm talking about here are above compliance level. Like, they're not individual tactics. It's like, as you were talking about architects, I was like, wouldn't it be interesting? One of the declarations for architects could be measure twice, cut once, or measure first, or the plan matters. Like I could think about things that I'd heard. If you go interview 20 architects as your clients, you're going to hear words like, we wrote one for dentists, and one of the declaration, like the title of it was "Unchained from the Chair," because they all said, "I feel chained to the chair." So I'm talking about those like topical declarations that resonate with people on an emotional level. They're not tactical, strategic ideas.
And do I have to write 32 pages?
No. I think everybody should go look at your example. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. This doesn't exist anywhere but printed form. We did that intentionally. But the fellowship doesn't exist in printed form. And Blair Enns has done both. You can buy the book, which is, his book's more like 100 pages. You can buy a poster of just the declarations.
Okay.
So no, and again, back to our earlier conversation about strategic direction and how you move, I would absolutely not print this before I wrote it up on a, in fact, I wouldn't even put it on a website first. I'd probably send it out as an email to all my clients, right? Like when we talk about micro actions.
So people want to see a version of this. Like, are you giving this out?
Yeah. So I can think of no better place I can think of no audience that I would rather have their hands on a copy of this. So what we're going to do is give 300 away. And again, this is the book you cannot buy. So this is a completely on us, including shipping and handling. Ooh. So we're going to give 300 away to listeners of Kitces and Carl. And you just go to the societyofadvice.com, Kitces Carl. So no and, just Kitces Carl. Like, the societyofadvice.com, Kitces Carl. And the first 300 people, we are going to ship you a copy of this, and we don't ask you for anything. Boom.
But you hope they'll be interested in more stuff. I mean, nothing negative. Just like, it's the rational me. Like, please tell me this gets back to business.
Look, my entire life is about, here's an idea. If you like this and you'd like to go deeper, here's ways to do it. Of course, like if you read this and you're like, I need more, well, we've got things, the fellowship, the membership, all that stuff. But I don't even, I mean, I think on the last page, does it even say? No, come on. It actually doesn't. The only promotional thing in this entire book is, I'm holding this up, is a teeny little thing that says the societyofadvice.com. That's it. So yeah, of course, if you want more, you're going to know where to get more. And most people, the most common question I get these days is like, I don't understand your business model. Where do I get more? Well, you go to the societyofadvice.com, you'll find out. But that's what happens with the manifesto.
Well, just to me, it does remind me of an interesting phenomenon. So years ago, someone had given me this kind of really interesting insight into marketing. They said, so a lot of us have had the experience where like some mailer comes to your house and like it was clearly not for you, right? Just like, spam solicitation, something. Well, ironically in our industry, like, come to this local dinner seminar about retiring early, and you're like, haha, I'm a financial advisor. Like, you sucker, you sent me a mailer for your seminar and I'm a fellow advisor. But the comment I gotten from someone in the marketing business a long time ago is a lot of us, when we get like marketing things like that and it doesn't really connect with us, or like, this wasn't for me, we laugh about it, we joke about it, we tease about it, like, sucker, spend a bunch of money sending it to me wrong. Like, the only funnier thing than getting a mailer when you're clearly not the target client is like getting several of them. When you're not, like, oh my gosh, like, this sucker keeps sending it out to me, like they're just flushing money down the drain. And the point that had been said to me from from this marketer was, no, you don't get it. Marketers only keep spending money on things that work. So if you keep getting that mailer, it's working. Clearly it's not working for you because you didn't happen to be the target audience, but you are caught up in a marketing system from someone who is executing successfully, because that's why you keep seeing it. And so if you keep seeing some kind of marketing thing, don't laugh at it and blow it off. Pick it up more closely and look at it. And if you can, like, start going down their funnel. If they tell you to go to a webpage and do a thing, like, go to a webpage and do a thing and see what happens next. Because what you're seeing is a marketing system that works. And a lot of us don't even know what a marketing system looks like that works. But if you're seeing it, like, you're seeing a marketing system that works. And you may not do it the same way because who you serve is different than whatever is being targeted that you happen to be caught up in, that you're seeing the mailers. But to me, just like the encouragement I'd give for anyone who's listening to this, like, it's a similar phenomenon here. Like, Carl has a marketing system that works. So maybe Manifesto isn't quite your thing. Like, go see what it's like to go through someone else's marketing process, marketing experience, and just like see what you learn when you're on the receiving end of a thing that works. Like, it might not be for you and it might not connect with you, but I find, at least for me, like, I get a lot of ideas about how to leverage marketing, way more than like going to marketing seminars and marketing events and stuff like that. Like, if you want to see marketing that works, sign up to buy things from people who have marketing systems that have clearly worked, and go through their actual experience and see what they do and what road they take you down. So just, I don't know, if you're at all curious about what manifestos look like, go down, take this journey and see what it's like to go down this journey.
Yeah, that's super kind of you. And that, I mean, look, we rely heavily, just because I like it and I kind of like to have fun. It's a crazy idea. We rely heavily on mystery and intrigue. Like, if you go to the societyofadvice.com's homepage, there's nothing there except enter your email. And like there's a dragon, and enter your email, and then we allow you to go deeper down the rabbit hole if you'd like to. And I do the same thing.
Knock 3 times and a crack in the stone opens up.
Exactly right. Like, we wanted to make it even more. Like, this was negotiated. Like, I wanted to make it even harder.
This was your compromise.
Yeah, this was my compromise with the team. They're smarter than I am. But one, I'll tell you, just to emphasize what you said, who I love watching is Ramit Sethi.
Yeah.
So if you go to I Will Teach You to Be Rich, everything you see, I promise he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out. So I love going there and just like, I'll often go there and just be like, what is he doing? Because I know he spent hundreds of thousands, probably more at this point.
Just like testing and refining and seeing
every single thing on that website. The quiz that he did forever, you'll notice his website's often very, very short. His main website, the .com website, is very short often. And you'll see different versions of it. And I think it's really smart. Like, and I love Robert Sophia for the same reason. His podcast, like Steal My Idea, I think it's called, or something along those lines. He gives you very specific ideas that he's encouraging you to steal. So I think that's smart. Yeah. So Manifesto, we've got 300 of them. The societyofaadvice.com/Kitces Carl. We'll send them out to the first 300. And no, it doesn't, like, we're going to even cover shipping.
All right. And for advisors who are thinking about this, like, aside from see what it's like to get a manifesto, like, just where do you get started? I mean, it's not the whole process because we're really in the journey, but like, for someone whose interest is peaked, like, where do you even start?
On writing your own?
Yeah, or I don't know, or even like figuring out what your own would be. Like,
yeah,
I was already ready to ride it. I'm like way further down. That's way further down the road than
yeah.
I think a lot of people are. Most are probably more in the like, I don't know, do I have a thing I stand for at the level that I would manifesto it?
Yeah, and you don't have to look. You don't have to call it a manifesto. You could just look. I don't know that there's much difference between this and a mission statement. That's just, one's just more fun to use, more fun to say. But again, I hate to sound like a broken record. Is you go ask people. So go interview 10 people. Take 10 people to coffee. Coffee's intentional. I don't even drink coffee, but coffee's intentional because it can last 5 minutes or it can last an hour. Both are fine. It's a low commitment. Take them to coffee. Ask them, hey, I'm just trying to put together, like, specifically if it's around a specific area of specialization, right? We're just trying to understand the unique challenges that, insert, or, what we use already, architects that own their own firm, the unique wealth management, financial planning challenges that architects that own their own firm face. And since you're one of them, I thought I'd just ask you, and then ask them questions like, what's the biggest mistake you've seen your colleagues make? Always, when you're asking about mistakes, ask about colleagues. And then say, what's the one thing you did right? Like when you're asking about right, like give them a chance. What's the thing you wish you would have been taught in architecture school about money? If you could wave your magic wand, what would this? And you're going to start hearing words. Like, what's the biggest challenge? What's the one thing that keeps you up at night? Those kind of questions. You're going to start hearing words. And from those words, after you do 10, I bet you could come up with 7 declarations. That's what I would do. Okay.
I guess to me, it all just comes back to that classic, like, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing.
Yeah. That's exactly
like
right.
You got to pick something to stand for whoever it is you want to stand for.
And I think Seth Godin's question of like, what does it do? No, sorry. Who is it for? And what does it do? Is pointing. And so if you had to say at the high level, like, who is it for? Let's pretend like it's for architects that own their own firm. What does it do? Tell me 7 things that it does. I just picked the number 7, like whatever. Tell me 7 things that it does. Well, how do you know? Well, take a crack and then go ask 10 architects that you work with. And again, don't get caught up in our business.
Yeah. Does this resonate with you?
Yeah. Or even before you even say, does this resonate? Ask them like, hey, what does my work do for you? Right? Like, just go ask. Yeah. You'll run into things. Don't get too scared about the actual questions. Just go ask.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Carl.
Yeah. Cheers, Michael. Super fun.
Awesome. Thank you.